It was I think in 1959, a guy named Gary Mercer and myself, we had gotten into some trouble at school. And so Reverend Smith was the principal, and he didn't take nothing. I mean, you didn't never want to go to the principal's office. And so we were kind of dreading going to the principal's office. And what had happened, you remember they just told you about going to Walker Grant to go to school to finish. You had to go to Walker Grant to finish your 11th and 12th grade. Well, when I got to the 10th grade at Poole School, they said, okay, we've got enough blacks in the county so that you won't be going to Walker Grant. You'll go to the 11th grade, and then the next year we'll make a 12th grade, and so you'll all be in the 12th grade, and so you'll be in that first group in modern times to graduate from Stafford School.
H.H. Poole.
H.H. Poole. We got into the principal's office, and he began to talk to us about it. He said, you know what? You don't really need to go to Walker Grant to get your education. And said, you can go up on the hill up here to get your education. And he said,
Up on the hill meant Stafford High School, the white school.
High School, the white school. So he began talking to us about that, and at that time I was not that much aware about credits in high school. See, we only have enough credits here for you to graduate, and you don't have this experience, you don't have that experience, you don't have this class, you don't have that class, but they have that up at Stafford High School. Well, John told you about him driving the bus. Well, each one of us succeeded in driving the bus, and at that time I was a bus driver, and the bus shop was up behind Stafford High School.
Which is Drew Middle School now.
Yeah, so he said, you all go talk to your parents. This is me and Gary Mercer. Go talk to your parents and see if it would be all right with them if you applied to Stafford High School. My daddy was a guy ahead of his time, and he was, when I told him, yeah, you should have done this a long time ago, So anyway, I went back, and he said, I can't help you all. He said, but what I will do, he said, if they know that I'm helping you, I'll lose my job. He said, but I'm going to put you in touch with some lawyers. And these were the lawyers in Richmond who had worked in Farmville, Oliver Hill, and what's the other guy's name? It was 3 of them. And I would call them. Well, first of all, he gave me the number, and I called them, and I would talk to them, every 2 or 3 days. And they would tell me what to do and how to do it. She said, first you need to go up and get an application. Well, it looked like everything was falling on me. They wanted me to do it because I was familiar with Stafford High School because of the bus shop up there. So I went up there that day to get the applications and went into the principal's office, and his name was Durham. And he said, we said? Yeah. And he said to me, he said, what school are you going to transfer to? I said, well, after a while, I said, well, this one. So he said, let's talk to it. Let's talk. So we sat down, and he said, you look like you could come up without anybody else. You could come up here and be a pioneer. I told him, no, not by myself. And then we began talking about sports, and I told him that I had a desire to play football and basketball. And he said, no, we can't do that. He said, I tell you what you can do. We'll put some bleachers in the end zone, and you and your friends can come up here and watch the game. I said, Mr. Durham, you misunderstood me. I don't want to come watch. I want to come play. So we had a good conversation, and I picked up the 2 applications. We went back to school, and the word got out that we had applied. We were going to apply to Stafford High School. So then 5 others wanted to go, and I went back and got some more applications from Mr. Durham. We talked again. And then the lawyers told me, said, now, number one, you all are not adults. So you cannot say that you want to integrate Stafford High School, the school system in Stafford. You have to get that from some adult and say you need to have a community meeting. But then we tried to find a place to hold this meeting, but everybody was scared. So finally, we were talking about the church. I asked my pastor, I said, can we hold a meeting here at Bethlehem? And he said, yes. And so we held a meeting at Bethlehem, and the lawyer said, now we will come, but somebody in there has to stand up and say we want to integrate the schools in Stafford County. And then we can talk and tell you the direction to take, but we can't come in and say what to do in your community. We got into the meeting, and we didn't have that many people there because they were afraid. But and and we were trying to get somebody to say we want to integrate the school. So Gary just got up himself and said, we want to integrate the schools in Stafford County. He wasn't old enough. He was the same age I was. But, and we said, we got the lawyers here to talk to us and help us. Well, then the lawyers got up and they tried to work around that, and finally they got somebody else to stand up and say, yeah, we want to integrate the schools. And when we sent in the official applications, and then they had had to send them to T. Benton Gale, he sent each one of us letters and outlining the improvements that they were going to make at Pool School. I'm giving you the short version now, but he's going to. They told us about all the improvements that they were going to make, and so at that point, we just kind of dropped it. Well, Frank came home from the military for something other, and we were going to New Jersey to visit a friend, and we came back 2 days before school opened, and I had to stop by to get the bus and come home. As soon as I got home, the phone rang, and it was Gary, and he said, Sherman, they all called me Sherman. He said, what we were going to do about going to Stafford High School? I said, we're not going to do anything about going to Stafford High School. I said, you got the letter like I got the letter. He said, I think we'll still go up there. I said, I'll tell you what, let me call the lawyer. So I picked up the phone, called the lawyer, and he said, read the letter to me. So I read the letter to him over the phone. He said, they're expecting you up there. Say, go on up there. So I called Gary back. I said, let's go. So we called the others, and 2 of them backed out. And to this day, I can't remember which 2, but 2 backed out. And I was driving the bus for my brother John. I asked him to drive the bus for me that morning. And then I got the car from Elaine's brother, Johnny, my cousin Johnny. And my daddy said he said, I'm never going up there. I'll come back with y'all. I said, no, Daddy, no. we better go on it. Because we all be in jail. My daddy go up there. He ain't taking no stuff. So